Okay, everybody, we've had a couple issues here tonight, but let's get started. We're going to start off with the pledge, and then we'll stay standing for the prayer, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the blessings you've bestowed upon us, our country, and our 912 group. Lord, we know your will is to be done, so please use us all here this evening, and through the Holy Spirit, have our eyes seeing and our ears hearing to what you desire us. Please, dear Lord, use us to know what candidates will have your will at heart. We know our people and country are hurting right now, and none of this can be humanly fixed. That is only through your divine providence, through us and our leaders, that we will be able to heal ourselves and this beloved country. Dear Lord, we ask that you help us to choose wisely. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, I'm just going to go through a few things, and then we're going to get right to the forum. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Thanks, everybody, for coming. This is a really good turnout. I also want to thank the candidates for coming, and not only coming, but for running. I know the time and the effort that they have to put out to do this, and the time away from their families, and I really appreciate the fact that they do that. Also, I want to ask how many people here are either running or currently hold a elected position. Okay, well, we have lots of opportunities for the rest of you. There's about 180 seats open in the committee precincts throughout York County. Throughout York County, we have 159 precincts, each having a man and a woman for both the Democrats and Republicans. That makes 318 people for both sides. And the purpose of them is to get out the vote. They're the ones who get out there and go door to door and help the people to know what's going on. Currently, these are the precincts that have nobody running at all at this point. For townships, it's Chanceford 2 and 3, Cadorus 1 and 3, Conawaga 1 and 2, Fairview 3 and 4, Fawn, Lower Chanceford 1, Lower Windsor. I can go on and on. You get the message. And for the boroughs, Crossroads, Delta, Dover, Fawn Grove, that's about 120 people that are not running at all in those precincts. And many of the other precincts only have one person running. What you can do is run a write-in campaign. We've seen that works. All you need is 10 votes, 9 including yourself. If you're interested, there's sheets at the back of the table and a paper that talks about campaigning. Campaign for a write-in. It's real easy. Also, you might want to write a little card up when you're standing at the polls. If you want to run a write-in campaign, just give it to them. They can type that in. Listening to Gary Sutton on the radio last week, Joel Sears had commented, and it kind of reminded me that these races, some of these races are unopposed by Democrats. The 93rd, the 169th, and the 196th. That means in this election, in this primary, the person who wins most likely will win in the general, barring another write-in campaign. So this is a very important election. Also, Americans for Prosperity is... Denise here tonight? Oh, hi. They're having a meeting. Is that May 8th or the 1st? May 1st. May 1st. They're having a meeting here, 7 o'clock, Thursday night. It's on paycheck protection. So please come out and support that. All right, now on to the forum here. WSBA's Gary Sutton will moderate our forum, and we thank you for coming. The ground rules. We're going to ask that everybody stay within the time frame because we want to be fair to everybody and we want to be fair to the audience. Make sure everybody has enough time. It's going to be 3 minutes for opening remarks, 1 minute to respond to the questions. We're going to try to get through 5 or 6 questions tonight. Audience, please be respectful. We may not agree with the point of view of a candidate, but please allow them to speak uninterrupted. At the end, we're going to have a ballot. And you can choose who you like. The names of everybody here tonight, plus other people that are running in those positions, will be on this as well. And also the governor race. One last comment here. Gene Montanarelli on Monday decided not to participate. And on his website, he had stated basically that he wasn't coming because the 9/12 Patriots endorsed another candidate. That is absolutely false. I contacted him. He responded. We worked it out. He took it off his site. He stated that he had given the wrong name to the person who was the webmaster. So we're assuming all that is correct. All right. Without further ado, we're going to start out of order with the candidates. They're going to come up here, give their 3-minute speech, have a seat, and then we're going to go to the question part. Because Kate Klink has another prior engagement, I allowed her to come first to give her 3 minutes. Okay, different order. Kristin.
Good evening. Thank you very, very much for having me this evening. I would like to thank Mr. Mundorf for very graciously extending me. For very graciously extending the invitation to me to attend this evening. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak here first tonight. Unfortunately, I must apologize because I am not able to stay for the rest of the evening. As many of you in this room know, I'm an elected school board member in Dallastown, and we have a regularly scheduled school board meeting this evening where we will be voting on the district's preliminary budget, and I am proud to say it will be our 4th year without a tax increase. I just wanted to start off by saying that I share your concerns for our future, and as a parent and as someone who has volunteered most of my adult life in our community, I've really worked very hard to make a difference for us all. Okay, thank you. My apologies. When I saw a need in our school district, I ran for the school board. I was elected, and I worked with my fellow board members to provide our kids the best possible education without raising taxes. And I believe it's time for that kind of representation in Harrisburg. As your representative, I'll work to create meaningful property tax reform. And that means that we don't just shift who we burden with the cost of funding education, but we fix school district spending problems. And we know that our school district spending problems in large part are due to the actions or inactions in Harrisburg. I will practice what I preach, and that means that I won't take a pension, and I will limit my own term. I will not spend more than 5 terms or 10 years in Harrisburg. And of course, you will always have the opportunity to make that decision every 2 years with your ballot. I'll also work very hard to create a vibrant business climate because I understand, as I think you understand, that if it's in the yellow pages, government doesn't belong in that business. So I will pledge to you this evening that I will listen to you, and I will make your agenda my agenda in Harrisburg. And with your support, we can go up there and business as usual. I want to thank you again for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. I have left materials in the back of the room. Please, my contact information is there. Please feel free to contact me if you want to share your thoughts, have any questions. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
And now Kate.
Okay, just give me a signal if you can't hear me. I'm not the tallest candidate, so can I take it out? Okay, I might feel a little bit more comfortable. Can you hear me now? Perfect, perfect. Well, I'm Kate Klink, and I'm running for the 169th State House seat. I'd like to thank Ed and his team for coordinating this here tonight. It's nice to have a couple different forums and debates as we move forward in this election. We had one in Hanover, one down here in York, and we're going to have one down in the New Freedom Shrewsbury area next week. So stay tuned for that with the Southern York Republican Club. But I'm running for the 169th District because I have a passion to serve and a desire to make a difference for Southern York County. I'm a committed conservative, and I hope to bring some common sense to Harrisburg, which I think is very sorely needed. I have the proven experience to provide real solutions to the life challenges that we all face as Pennsylvanians, and I believe I have the honesty and the integrity that when you make that choice to vote for me and I'm in Harrisburg, you're going to be very proud that you sent me there. Most of you probably don't know me. Maybe you have. You've maybe read about me on my website, but I'm currently a private practice attorney where I help navigate the complex world of employment regulations for my clients as an attorney. I advocate for them every day. And prior to that, I worked as a trusted staffer to President George W. Bush at the White House. I worked for his National Economic Council and worked on a lot of different economic policy issues, and would like to bring that experience to Harrisburg because I think we have a large number of some very complex economic issues that we need to tackle. And that's why I'm running, because I'm fed up. We need to, as Kristin said, end politics as usual in Harrisburg. There are some big issues that I see that we need to address. Number one is property tax reform / school funding reform. You can't really talk about property tax reform unless you talk about school funding reform and the multiple issues that go into increasing our property taxes. It's not a simple issue. It is very complex. And we need to look at pension reform as a component of it. We need to look at prevailing wage reform. And we need to look at school funding reform because here in York County, our school districts are growing and we are not receiving dollar for dollar the same amount of money as school districts in other areas of the state that are decreasing in population. And that is what is in part causing your property tax bills to go up every single year. We need to look at some of the options for changing property tax reform. House Bill 76 is a great option, and we need to consider that as we move forward. It's not perfect, but it's a great place to start. Like I said, we need to focus on pension reform, liquor reform. I know I have to head out, but just a couple quick things because I'm not going to be able to answer some of the questions here tonight. I do want to ensure that government is transparent, that I will make sure that you know what my expenses are in my office. That will be online. And I'm not going to take a per diem. I believe that we need to focus on tax reform to create a positive business climate here in York County so that we have family-sustaining jobs. And I want to go up to Harrisburg to protect your values. Many of us here in York County are pro-life conservative Republicans who are strong defenders of the Second Amendment, which I am. I'm a proud member of the NRA. I come from a long line of hunters. My extended family back 9 generations ago served in the militia here in York County as part of the Revolution. So I am very happy to carry on that tradition as a proud member of the NRA and have recently been given the highest rating by them. I'm going to have to leave here, so sorry I have to leave, but just know that I'm going to go to Harrisburg and work for you. I promise to have an open and transparent office. I want to know your issues. Your issues are my issues, and I want to advocate for those in Harrisburg like I advocate for my clients every day. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Good luck to the rest of the candidates in the forum, and if you have any questions, I have a table in the back. My contact information is back there as well. Please reach out to me. I'd love to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back in order for the 93rd House District, Ernie Merisotis.
Hello, I'm Ernie Merisotis, Republican running for state representative in the 93rd District. A little bit about myself. I'm a graduate of the Christian School of York. I attended Penn State York, went to Shippensburg University where I got a degree in criminal justice. I served as an Army officer while I was in the reserves. I actively volunteer at my local church. I'm an NRA Life member, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment. I belong to the Isaac Walton League of York. And after college, I was a small business owner for 10 years. I was in the restaurant business because, as we know, all Greeks are in the restaurant business. And I'm running for office because I'm frustrated with business as usual in Harrisburg and all levels of our government for that matter. Recently, our elected officials pushed through a bill instead of House Bill 76, a bill that would create new taxes without eliminating the old property tax. So they're basically going to say, hey, here's 3 new taxes for you, but we're not going to really get rid of any of your existing taxes. They pushed through a transportation bill. I work for a trucking company, and I looked at how much it's going to cost our trucking company, and it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But where does that money go? Well, in the new bill, about 20% of the new taxes that we're paying, and if you got gas today, your money went to Harrisburg along with mine. And 20% of that's going to end up in Philly and Pittsburgh. But where'd the previous money that we've been sending all these years to? Where's that gone? We don't have a vote on property tax increases. Right now, if your school district wanted to raise your taxes by 50%, you wouldn't get a vote. Why not? Why is it that career politicians refuse to help while thousands of good people lose their homes to ever-increasing property taxes? They know that House Bill 76 would end property taxes for school funding once and for all, yet they didn't even allow it to come up for a vote. When they tried to attach it to Seth Grove's bill, they voted it down. People that said they supported House Bill 76 turned and voted against it. If we don't act now, our property taxes are going to skyrocket to pay for a $47 billion pension crisis that started when Ron Miller and his fellow career politicians voted to raise their own pensions by 50%. But here's my vision for Pennsylvania instead. Let's pass House Bill 76. Let's eliminate property taxes. Let's give citizens the right to vote. And I pledge to you on the pension that I will not take it. That's the #1 driving cost for our increase in property taxes. It's time to put the people first. And as the recent special election shows with Scott Wagner's stunning victory, your vote really does count, and I'd like for you to make it count again by voting for me, Ernie Merisotis, on Tuesday, May 20th. Thank you.
Okay, next for the 94th House District, we have Kelly Henshaw.
I think I'll hold this. I'm used to holding and singing, but I won't sing to you tonight. I would like to recognize my wife, Kathleen, is in the back. My daughter, Lindsay, stand up. So I'd like to recognize them. They're the rock that keeps me going here. For the past 20 long years, we've had uncertainty in Harrisburg from the current representative from the 94th, Stan Saylor. We're losing the battle. And when an estimated 10,000 homes are sold in tax sales in Pennsylvania per year, we're losing the battle. As Ernie mentioned, the 1189 bill was up. The amendment for the 76 was introduced and put on top. Stan voted against that bill that would have eliminated all of our school property tax. Why did he do that? It's uncertainty. He was a co-sponsor of that bill. My feeling is, if you send me to Harrisburg and I support something and I find that there's something I don't like about it, I'll pull my support. I won't be a co-sponsor. I'm not going to play two sides of a fence. Or maybe it's this, that Stan received $20,000 from the school teachers union PAC that is against House Bill and Senate Bill 76. So we are losing a battle. My pledge to you also is that I will not accept any union PAC campaign funds. It's one of the reasons why nothing's getting done in Harrisburg. We're losing the battle on pensions. Stan voted to increase his own pension by 50%, along with all the other employees and school teachers, 25%. When that was done, before that was done, the pension system was rolling along fine. It was being funded. The day that they voted that, they were $10 billion, that's with a B, billion in the hole that day, with no way to pay for it except betting that the stock market would continue in the pace that it was and not funding the pension. Now we're $47 billion in the red, and the stock market seems to be coming along, but it's too big of a hole to dig our way out of. When elected, my pledge to you is I will not accept the state pension. Article 2, Section 8 spells it out. Our legislators should be compensated by salary and mileage. Very short paragraph. That's it, folks. Did you hear me say pension, lease vehicles, per diem? No, I didn't think so. The gas tax. It's crazy. They keep raising the gas tax, but they don't fix the bridges and roads. Funneling money to Pittsburgh, Philadelphia to prop up SEPTA to help those people that are riding. 20 years. Lastly, I want to introduce the Fair Share Pay Plan. Right now, legislators get $80,000 plus per year. They're out of touch with you and I. Their vote doesn't mean the same as it would with us. They get gas allowances. Doesn't matter how much the gas price goes up. Doesn't matter if they vote for school property tax or not. Stan's getting $112,000 a year. I don't begrudge the private sector. If you can make $112,000, God bless you. I'm a capitalist, and I think everybody should be able to have that. But this is tax money. Term limits. I plan to serve no more than 5 terms, then come back home and let another citizen legislator take my place. Not a career politician, a citizen legislator. It's time to stride forward and not stand pat. I'm Kelly Henshaw, and I'd ask for your support tonight.
Okay, next for the 169th District, we have Marc Woerner.
Well, good evening. My name is Marc Woerner, and I'm running for state representative in the new 169th House District. I'm going to start off tonight by telling you a little bit about myself and my background. You know, one of the first jobs that I ever held as a young man was baling hay on a friend's family farm, and I quickly learned the value of hard work, sweat, and perseverance. And those are values that I carry with me to this day. You know, years later, when I owned and operated my own business, it reinforced the importance of fiscal discipline and what it takes to maintain a business. I've been married to my high school sweetheart for almost 18 years, and we have 2 beautiful children. You know, there's that old saying that, you know, behind every good man is a good woman. But I think that's not entirely correct. I would say that beside every good man is a good woman, and I have the best, and she's sitting up here in the front row tonight. So I want to thank you, dear. Couldn't be doing this without the support of my family and the friends on my campaign team. I'm a son, I'm a father, and I'm a husband who can no longer accept what's become the status quo in Harrisburg, of fiscal irresponsibility, bowing down to labor unions, and self-enrichment. And I pledge to all of you tonight that I will not accept a taxpayer-funded pension, per diem, state-provided vehicle, or any automatic pay raise. I believe in our God-given rights, traditional family values, and our founding principles. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, those actually mean something. I think they mean a lot to the folks in this room, and they mean a lot to me personally. Life begins at conception, and for me, that is an undeniable truth. It's non-negotiable. We have the moral obligation to protect the sanctity of human life, both born and unborn. I believe that the Second Amendment is a protected individual right to self-defense. And as a member of the National Rifle Association, hunter, fellow gun owner, you can bet that I will protect that right. As a homeschooling dad, we're a homeschool family, I'm a strong supporter of education and school choice. I believe in a school choice voucher initiative and performance-based teacher evaluations so that we can assure that we get the best educational outcome for the students in the system. Since taking the oath of office as a West Manheim Township Supervisor in 2010, I made good on my campaign promises, and I created a positive impact for the citizens that I represent. I helped eliminate wasteful spending, negotiated lower utility costs. We've come in under budget for 4 straight years and have saved taxpayers over $1.3 million. We increased government transparency at the local level. I worked with DEP to keep public sewer from expanding into areas of the township that were not needed. And this literally saved residents thousands of dollars in connection fees and millions of dollars in unnecessary debt. I didn't just talk about things, I got them done. I'll draw on these leadership experiences, principles, and values and take them with me to Harrisburg. I believe that the citizens of the 169th District are looking for a proven conservative that has a bold vision for the future, one that eliminates school property taxes with House Bill 76, a vision that creates a stable, business-friendly environment and helps small business create new, good-paying jobs, someone who's demonstrated fiscal responsibility and made tough decisions and who's actually achieved those results. And it would be my honor to serve as a state representative in the new 169th. Thank you.
Now for the 196th, Elizabeth Roberts.
Welcome. I'm Elizabeth Roberts, State Representative Candidate for the 196th. I'd like to tell you about 2 issues I came across in the last few weeks that illustrate perfectly the lunacy to which we are all subjected. Let's first refer to our Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 1, Section 21. The right of the citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. Recently, I attended a gun rights seminar where I learned some police chief in Philadelphia is refusing to issue concealed carry permits. To counter this, new legislation is in the works, Senate Bill 1071, which will allow someone seeking a concealed carry permit to go to a neighboring county to get the permit. Shouldn't the question be, why do we need concealed carry permits in the first place? Let's refer again to our Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 2, Section 8. The members of the General Assembly shall receive such salary and mileage for regular and special sessions as shall be fixed by law, and no other compensation whatever, whether for service upon committee or otherwise. So I read an article about Representative Eli Ivankovich from Armstrong County trying to opt out of the unconstitutional pension our legislators collect. But Chapter 243.1 in the Pennsylvania Benefits Code says, the election of membership or non-membership is irrevocable and shall be final and binding in the absence of an interruption to Commonwealth service. In other words, he can't. Now legislation is in the works to allow legislators to opt out of the pensions that they should not get in the first place. You can't make this stuff up. Now we pay our General Assembly exorbitant amounts of money to come up with legislation to circumvent regulation that resulted from unconstitutional legislation. My mother always said I was a glutton for punishment. But jumping down this rabbit hole is even a stretch for me. Why am I doing this? According to openstates.org, my representative Seth Grove, only now serving his third term, has been the sponsor of 2,972 pieces of new legislation. This is reckless and arrogant. Even an astute Tea Party wacko bird like me can't keep up with this. Somewhere, somehow, we lost sight of what liberty is. Liberty is to be free from government. Liberty is not searching through piles of regulations and asking permission to exercise our constitutional rights. It is not being impeded by nonsensical regulation when trying to return to the people the fruits of their labor. It is certainly not keeping tabs on 2,972 pieces of new legislation. This is not what 1.5 million men and women gave their lives for. We need people, not professional politicians in Harrisburg, asking the right questions, sorting through this mess, putting what belongs in the garbage, and then maybe we can wrestle this beast back into its cage. Thank you.
And now for the 28th Senatorial District, Scott Wagner.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Great. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and I'm going to move a little fast because 3 minutes is a pretty big leash for me. Let me tell you, I was elected in the... Hey, do I get to start over, Gary? Okay. As many of you know, I'm Scott Wagner, and I'm the senator representing the 28th District, and I was elected in the special election on March 18th. And I appreciate everyone that came out and made history and cast a vote for me. So I'm going to tell you real quickly, I've been in Harrisburg for 3 weeks. I was sworn in 3 weeks ago. We have big problems in Harrisburg. It's worse than I ever imagined. And I'll tell you what's happening in Harrisburg, and I'm going to talk about a few things, and I'm going to be very quick. This is the PSEA newsletter that came out in the month of March. There are 5 pages dedicated to Rob McCord being elected as governor. Let me tell you, without a doubt, and I'm going to lay it out on the line, the unions have control in Harrisburg. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. Right now, my number one focus, I have many issues that I've campaigned on. My number one focus is paycheck protection. And I am going to take the flag to the hill in the next 30 days, come hell or high water. I've looked around. I've been in for 3 weeks, and I will tell you, other than being educated by constituents coming to my office, spending 2 hours today at the Dallastown School Superintendent's office, and getting briefed on a lot of things, I haven't seen anything being or has been accomplished in Harrisburg. But paycheck protection is the first bite of a very, very large elephant. We talk about pension reform. We talk about school tax elimination. We talk about funding. I will tell you that the PSEA is against all of these. And next time that if there's a call for taxpayers to go to Harrisburg and go to Harrisburg en masse, 10 times more than union members, we need you in Harrisburg. Because I can tell you paycheck protection is going to be a huge fight. My goal is paycheck protection. I was elected this year to finish the final year of Senator Wall's term. I'm asking for you to come out on May 20th and vote for me in the primary so that I can go on to the general election, and I'm asking for your vote in the general election so I can go to Harrisburg and serve a 4-year term. There's a lot to do. And I could go on about myself and my business background. Most of you know I own Penn Waste. I'm a private sector person. 2 weeks ago, I signed off on the pension. I'm not receiving the pension or other benefits, and I think that's a first step. The bottom line is people are asking me, and a lot of people in the audience know me. They say they're coming up, Scotty, you're getting frustrated. You know what? I didn't get where I am by being frustrated. I'm determined, and I have a plan, and every now and then you need to change your strategy. But I will tell you, over the next month, paycheck protection is number one. And it's a good time because the governor wants to pass his budget.
Good evening. My name is Gary Sutton. I'm host of the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA. Heard weekdays from 9 to noon, unless you're working in Harrisburg. We have an order here that I'm going to try to follow, and if I happen to mix this up, candidates, it's not by any particular reason other than I just mixed it up, but I have it down pretty solid now. Our first question, and this will go first of all to Marc Woerner, and it's this. Pennsylvania Senator Mike Fulmer has introduced legislation to legalize medical marijuana. Although the public largely supports legalizing medical marijuana, many legislators seem to resist the idea. What are your thoughts on legalizing medical marijuana? And you can just use a mic nearest to you at the table.
Okay. As far as medical marijuana goes, I really wasn't up on this subject until I started researching it a few weeks ago. And quite honestly, initially I was a bit put off by it. But I think that's really not any different than anybody else sitting in this room who doesn't know a lot about medical marijuana. It's a bit hypocritical to say that marijuana is off limits for discussion. You know, we get most of our most powerful drugs from plant derivatives. Why would medical marijuana be any different? Why would marijuana be any different? We can have medical marijuana in a non-addictive pill form. I think the stigma is that a lot of people think that don't know a lot about it, that there's going to be just people sitting around smoking joints. Well, that's really not the case. But what we have is to be able to have a non-addictive medical marijuana in a pill form to get the oil extracts out. There is a potential for abuse, and we would need to be strictly monitored with dispensing requirements. But I am opposed to recreational use, as I do believe that it is a gateway to more harmful illegal drugs.
Marc, thank you so much. And I'll remind the candidates we have 1 minute answers there. We do have a countdown there in the back of the room, okay? Elizabeth Roberts, again, the same question on medical marijuana.
Yes, I would support legalizing medical marijuana. On my travels around the district, talking to voters, I encountered a lady who had an adult daughter, significantly bigger than she was. And the lady was telling me, I don't know what the malady was. I don't know if it was some form of autism, but the daughter was prone to very violent outbursts. So the mother was either the mother or the daughter were getting injured. The mother by fending off the daughter, or the daughter by fending. I'm sorry, the mother by fending off the daughter, or the daughter was injuring the mother. The doctor said he thought that medical marijuana might take the edge off of these violent outbursts, but she doesn't have access to it. And it's just beyond me why we would deprive a mother of all options available to help an ailing child, or why we would deprive someone in debilitating pain the option of helping themselves. I don't believe it's the government's job to save us from ourselves.
Scott Wagner on legalizing medical marijuana.
I am in favor of legalizing medical marijuana. I am not in favor of recreational marijuana legalization. Between my companies, I have almost 250 truck drivers. Not a good thing. We have a much larger problem in this country, and that's prescription drugs, and they're manufactured drugs. So I think there's an opportunity for medical research. I've watched, I'm not an expert, I've watched the Sanjay Gupta shows on CNN, and I think it warrants passing it and finding out medically if it can help people with certain illnesses.
Ernie Merisotis on legalizing medical marijuana.
Thank you. I'm opposed to recreational use of marijuana. My concern with the medical use is I would like to see what the long-term impacts of it would be, and I would like to see if that does hold out. I would like to see that it would be administered in some way that medically administered, as opposed to the recreational use.
And Kelly Henshaw on legalizing medical marijuana.
Yes, if a doctor prescribes the medical form of marijuana in a pill or an oil form that has to be medically given, then I have no problem with that. I do have a problem with the recreational use of marijuana.
Our next question, and this will go first to Elizabeth Roberts. Regarding unions, should Pennsylvania be a right-to-work state? Why or why not? Do you believe that the public sector unions should exist? Why or why not? And do you think Pennsylvania's unions have too much political power? If so, what could be done to curb it? Elizabeth?
Yes, I think that Pennsylvania should be a right-to-work state. I think it's like Scott said, the unions are controlling Harrisburg. I think we should use Wisconsin as an example. When Scott Walker started reeling in the unions, that's when they started to see economic changes for the better in their state. I don't think public sector unions should exist at all. The idea in the private sector, you're bargaining for an equitable distribution of profits. In the public sector, they don't make any profits. So you're bargaining for money someone else earns. You're bargaining for someone else's paycheck. In the case of teachers, they're bargaining for the paychecks of the parents of their students. And this is not okay. So I don't support public sector unions at all. What can be done? I think the first thing is to stop the automatic dues deduction. I think that will go a long way. And eventually, I'd like to see public sector unions eliminated entirely.
Scott Wagner, should PA be a right-to-work state? Why or why not? Do you believe public sector unions should exist? Why or why not? Do you think Pennsylvania's unions have too much political power? If so, what can be done to curb it?
Absolutely. It should be a right-to-work state. And if you don't believe me, get in a car and drive to South Carolina. I have an ownership and a business in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a right-to-work state. Do I believe that public sector unions should exist? Yes and no. I think we have to take away a lot of their power and the ability to strike. There's a lot of issues, and I would need some labor law counsel to completely understand it. Do I think Pennsylvania unions have too much political power? Absolutely. And the only way we're going to reduce their power is by passing paycheck protection. I mentioned the PSEA will have almost $200 million in dues withheld this year. 40% of that will go for lobbying and political purposes.
Ernie Merisotis, regarding unions, should Pennsylvania be a right-to-work state? Why or why not? Do you believe public sector unions should exist? Why or why not? And do you think Pennsylvania's unions have too much power? If so, what can be done to curb them?
I believe Pennsylvania should be a right-to-work state because I don't think anyone should be forced into a union for that reason. As far as whether they should exist or not, if they were to continue existing, I would prefer that they wouldn't, but I think that their power, a lot of the power that they hold is, quite frankly, too strong. As far as political power, our former governor put politicians in prison for taking taxpayer dollars and mixing it in with their campaigns. And right now, everyone here, guess what? Your local school board, you are paying to collect union dues, and a lot of that is union PAC money, and they go out and they pick the Republicans and Democrats that they like, and they throw a lot of money in their campaigns. And I think that, quite frankly, that's wrong.
Kelly Henshaw, regarding unions, should PA be a right-to-work state? Why or why not? Do you believe public sector unions should exist? Why or why not? And do you think Pennsylvania's unions have too much power? If so, what can be done to curb them?
I'll start with the last one. Obviously, they have too much power. I mentioned House Bill 76. Why isn't it being passed? Teachers' unions against it. Why don't we have privatized liquor stores? They're union employees that work in those stores. Very, very hard-driven pack that we're up against. How do we stop it? Somebody like me. I'm not going to take any union PAC money, so you can't influence me with that kind of money. Should Pennsylvania be a right-to-work state? Positively. Everywhere that it has happened. Do we want more jobs in Pennsylvania? If we do, then we need to be a right-to-work state. We're going to have more jobs. Should the public sector unions exist? I don't think so. Like it was said, that's our tax money. It's not grant money, it's not made up money, it's our money that's being used for that.
And Marc Woerner, regarding unions, should PA be a right-to-work state? Why or why not? Do you believe public sector unions should exist? Why or why not? And finally, do you think Pennsylvania's unions have too much political power? If so, what can be done to curb them?
We most absolutely have to make Pennsylvania a right-to-work state. There is no doubt. Pennsylvania is one of the remaining 26 states in the Union that is a forced union state. It doesn't give us a whole lot of options for job creation and business growth and attraction when it comes to bringing things to Pennsylvania with business. Should we become a right-to-work state? Absolutely. You know, it makes us more attractive as a state for Pennsylvania, makes us more attractive for business when other jobs and other companies are looking to move throughout the other states and move, they go down south because of taxation and regulation. Do the unions have too much political power? Absolutely. You know, in 2010, public sector unions spent almost $5 million, most, if not all, which was collected at your expense. And this needs to absolutely stop. Paycheck protection is an absolute must. It requires unions to collect their own dues from members and not at taxpayer expense. 65% of union members support this, and the union members will actually have greater control over how their money is spent. And I really don't think we have much use for public sector unions any longer.
We start our next round of questions with Scott Wagner. Scott, do you support minimum wage mandates? Why or why not?
I've done a lot of research in the last year, especially since I started running. I do support a minimum wage increase to a level of not to exceed $8.50 an hour. I do not support a minimum wage increase to $10.10 an hour. I've surveyed at least 20 employers in my district. One would be Rudders Corporation. If you go to Rudders tonight, they're paying $9.05 an hour. It's on their front door to start. That's the start. If they have a good employee, they will raise that employee's wage fairly quickly and get them to a point that they can be competitive in the market to keep that employee.
Ernie Merisotis, do you support minimum wage mandates? Why or why not?
Generally speaking, I was a small business owner myself, and I would oppose minimum wage mandates for the following reason. Businesses in Pennsylvania are having a hard enough time with everything that the government loads down on them in the first place, and setting an artificial number, whether it's 10, 12, 20, whatever that number is, has no relationship as far as you know, a lot of the times, so with a minimum wage job, that's something that a person, you know, a teenager or whatever is starting at. And my concern is that that would make Pennsylvania even less competitive.
Kelly Henshaw, do you support minimum wage mandates? Why or why not?
I do not. I mentioned earlier I'm a capitalist. I believe that the market sets the wages. When you artificially change that, you're going to have businesses either laying people off, cutting their hours. Two young boys were helping my campaign, and we had this conversation. And they were in favor of raising the minimum wage. And I said, well, do you guys work? Well, we cut lawns. I said, okay. I said, well, how much do you charge to cut a lawn? He said, $40. I said, well, how many hours does it take? He said, 2. I said, so you're making $20 an hour. He goes, well, I split that with my brother. I said, well, then you're making $10 an hour. Pretty good. So it's whatever the market will bear. So that's my feeling.
Marc Woerner, do you support minimum wage mandates? Why or why not?
I do not support minimum wage mandates. I think that the free market needs to set what the market price is for any particular job. What we have is a minimum wage is designed to support the very entry-level worker, teenagers, maybe part-time workers, house moms that are looking to get out and earn a little extra money. But the fact of the matter is, if we raise the minimum wage, every person in this room is going to be left paying that additional cost. It's as simple as that, folks. So for that reason, I do not. If someone's doing a job that is we're willing to pay them $20 an hour, that is what the marketplace will bear, then so be it. I want everybody, as a conservative, I want every individual to succeed. And I think I could probably speak to the rest of these guys up here that as conservatives, we want everyone to succeed in their own personal way with personal responsibility. So no, I do not support a minimum wage mandate.
Elizabeth Roberts, do you support minimum wage mandates? Why or why not?
I do not support minimum wage mandates. I believe in free markets, and that should be a contract between the employer and his employee. If you have an employer and his budget to pay his employees is $20 an hour, and he has 5 employees and they make $4 each, and they raise the minimum wage to $5, he has to get rid of an employee. It's that simple. People will lose jobs because of this. And like Marc said, we all end up footing the bill for that. And I go in McDonald's and places, and I'm not seeing real stellar service all of the time that would warrant $10 an hour.
We move into the realm of education now, and we start this round with Ernie Merisotis. Ernie, do you see a problem with the way the schools are currently funded? What changes would you like to see made?
I think it's an absolute disaster the way they're currently funded. And as far as changes I would like to see made, House Bill 76 and its companion bill, Senate Bill 76, basically what this would do is over a 2-year period it would take away your property taxes. In exchange, there would be an increase of the state income tax of 1% and the state sales tax of 1%. And this way, I think it would be a boost for the Pennsylvania economy. It would be a boost for businesses because the amount, I was talking with a woman, and she was saying that she and her husband live off of Social Security. That's their only income. And they're paying their property tax out of their savings. And she said next year will be the last year they can afford to do that. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful that nothing's been done already. And if I'm elected, I will certainly push House Bill 76. Thank you.
Kelly Henshaw, do you see a problem with the way schools are currently funded, and what changes would you like to see made?
There's a definite problem when 10,000 homes per year in Pennsylvania are lost to tax sales. And it's not done. We can't fix it by adding gambling, which they said we get gambling, our taxes will go away or something like that. Now slot revenues are down, so guess what? You're not even going to get, I won't even get my $180 off my $4,000 tax bill. House Bill 76, Senate Bill 76. I'm a proponent. I'll work like crazy to pass that. The other thing, too, we have to look at how the schools are being funded on the state level, the money that comes down. I believe anybody from suburban school district here, 80%, I think I heard, of the funding for your school is through property tax, whereas other school districts could be as low as 20%. They're the ones that, you know, they're fine the way it is because they're not paying a whole lot. So we need to look at that. So I think there was a costing out study done a couple years ago that I heard they lost. And so there's some other great things that happen in Harrisburg. Spend millions of dollars on something they lose.
Thank you, Kelly. Marc Woerner, do you see a problem with the way the schools are currently funded? What changes would you like to see made?
Well, I'll put the question out to the audience. Does anybody out there see a problem with your school property taxes going up every single year? That's a no-brainer, folks. Come on now. Just to let you know, I am a full supporter of HB 76, which is the Property Tax Independence Act. And we have to eliminate the school property tax. We don't need to talk about reform. We don't need to talk about changing it and adjusting it and freezing it for this group or that group. It must be eliminated. How many of you agree with me? How about it? Along that same line, I have earned the endorsement of the Pennsylvania Taxpayer Cyber Coalition. They're a grassroots organization. They stand up for taxpayers across the Commonwealth. They're made up of a little over 80 groups across the Commonwealth, and I have earned their endorsement. School property tax is the top of the mind issue for every single door that I knock on, and it's been a couple of thousand so far. It is the issue, and it needs to be eliminated. Absolutely, no questions asked.
Thank you, Mark. Elizabeth Roberts, do you see a problem with the way the schools are currently funded? What changes would you like to see made?
I think that the people that came up with Pennsylvania's school funding formula also wrote the Common Core Aligned Math Curriculum. It's convoluted beyond comprehension. Definitely, the General Assembly, per the Constitution, is responsible for funding the schools, not the school districts. So property taxes are not the way to fund the school districts. I believe money should follow students to schools of their parents' choices. I think competition and variety in our schools will drive success. So I would like to see the school funding formula wipe clean, put the kibosh on it, and have money follow students, and adjust for cost of living or whatever, but have it that simple.
Finally, Scott Wagner, do you see a problem with the way the schools are currently funded, and what changes would you like to see made?
I do see a large issue with the way that the school taxes or the schools are funded. Next week, I expect to be added as a co-sponsor on Senate Bill 76. I am in favor of course, many of the provisions, sales tax, income tax, changes, personal income tax. But I will tell you that also we have to eliminate prevailing wage. Why do we have to continue to pay 20% more for projects at schools? It's something that has to be done.
We move into the area of pensions and retirement plans for our representatives, and we start this with Scott Wagner. Should legislators receive pensions or any other retirement plan? Why or why not?
The candidates to the right, and you may scratch your head on this one. I think the candidates to my right may be in a different financial position than I'm in. I have elected not to take the pension. I believe that the current pension system must be changed. It must be completely changed and must go to a 401k system. And therefore, the people to my right would be allowed to participate, make contributions, and have a contribution from the state or an employer. But other than that, we absolutely have to change this current pension plan that is in place. It is the largest time bomb out there ever. But I happen to be in a situation, again, where I'm limiting myself to 2 terms, and I understand that the people to my right may be taking 10 years out of their life, and I think they're entitled to, some type of retirement, but it must be a 401k plan.
Ernie Merisotis, should legislators receive pensions or any other retirement plan? Why or why not?
Article 2, Section 8 basically says that our lawmakers should receive salary and mileage, and I think as long as they're in office, or rather when they leave office, that they shouldn't have any pension or benefits, and I've already pledged that I will not take a pension, and quite frankly, I think that if we want to do a quick term limit, all we have to do is find who's taking the pension and get them out, and you'd see a big change in Harrisburg.
Kelly Henshaw, should legislators receive pensions or any other retirement plan? Why or why not?
Article 2, Section 8, there's that one little phrase that says no other compensation whatsoever, I think it says. No other, it says. So my pledge is no pension, be a citizen legislator, all right, go do the work, have your term limit, come back, let another citizen legislator take your place. Simple as that. That's the only way we can change the mess we're in.
Marc Woerner, should legislators receive pensions or any other retirement plan? Why or why not?
I believe that the pension plans that are offered to legislators breed nothing but career politicians. They have no incentive to step down. At this particular time, we don't have term limits. That's something that we need to get accomplished. But the longer legislators serve who are participating in the defined benefit plan, the bigger and fatter their benefits become. Now, I don't know about you folks, but it does not work that way in the private sector. Once you leave office, whether by election or your self-imposed term limit, which I will impose upon myself, 5 2-year terms for 10 years, there should be no strings attached once you are out of office. To me, it's that simple. If I'm going to put money towards my retirement, I will take it out of my compensation and put it into my own IRA on my own benefit, not on the backs of taxpayers. And for too long, the career politicians have been feeding at the trough at your expense and mine.
Elizabeth Roberts, should legislators receive pensions or any other retirement plan? Why or why not?
No, the same as Marc said. A, the Constitution doesn't allow it, and B, it encourages a career in politics. And if they want to put their own money into it, but taxpayers shouldn't fund their pensions. Obviously, 2001, when they voted to increase their own pensions by 50%, obviously they can't handle it. And really, half our General Assembly should have been run out of town on a rail for that. And they weren't. They're still in there collecting these lofty pensions. They've made a pretty sweet deal for themselves. Our founding fathers never imagined career politicians. We have professional politicians, people that go to school now to be politicians, and then just go up there and stay forever. We don't want to incentivize careers in politics. This is part of the problem in Harrisburg.
Our next round deals with characteristics we'd like to have our legislators have, and the question starts this time with Elizabeth Roberts. What virtues do you believe a legislator should have, and why?
Definitely humility. The idea that these career politicians think they're the best arbitrator of your affairs is ridiculous. You're the best arbitrator of your affairs. And I hope to return the reins back to you. That will be my only goal, is to take what belongs to you and give it back to you. Your money, the reins to control your own life. So humility, one. Integrity. Somehow our politicians get behind there and then they go to the highest bidder. You have to be sound in your principles and be willing to stand by them, and you can't be bought. And reverence for a constitution, a state and federal constitution that's routinely ignored. And 1.5 million men and women gave their lives for it. So a little bit of respect would be nice.
Scott Wagner, what virtues do you believe a legislator should have, and why?
Number one, I think there should be a high level of integrity. And last week I voted, or 2 weeks ago I voted a Senate bill that hard to believe that the Senate voted on not taking cash gifts and gift cards. I never knew that took place anyhow. Okay. Number one, I believe you have to have transparency, and I think you have to have accessibility. And as I've been finding, there are not a lot of legislators that are actually accessible. So you have to get out and you have to see the people and you have to learn the issues. And I will tell you that you have to have very, very tough skin. This is not, I will tell you, and again, I applaud the people to my right for running. This has been a great experience for me. But you have to have really tough skin. And I can tell you, you will get a lot of friends all of a sudden, and you have to learn to put those people at arm's length and make your own decisions.
Ernie Merisotis, what virtues do you believe a legislator should have, and why?
Well, I think integrity, first off, so that you're not swayed by others. Honesty, perseverance. Maybe you could even go past perseverance to stubbornness. I would say that maybe if I'm a little bit stubborn, this is my third time running for this position. And my mother last year, she's 76, went to work. She was still working full-time at the pizza shop. And she slipped and fell. She went to work at 5:30 in the morning because it was quiet. And she slipped and fell and broke her femur, which is the strongest bone in your body, when she slipped to hit the dough mixer. So what would you do if you fell and broke your leg? Well, if you're my mom, what you'd do is you'd get up in a chair and then you'd peel onions for 2 hours until somebody comes in to take you to the hospital. So, we got to stick to it. I'm a conservative. I will always be a conservative, and, we got to persevere.
Kelly Henshaw, what virtues do you believe a legislator should have, and why?
I'm a Christian, strong prayer life, which guides my decisions. Empathy is something that I hope that I'll never lose when elected to Harrisburg. Because going door to door, meeting folks at their porch, discussing their problems, and then making them my problems. I think that's the key. And when I ran 2 years ago, I will never forget the lady that shed real tears because they weren't sure how they were going to keep their house. And let me tell you what, if you come away from that and not be touched, then you're in the wrong job.
Marc Woerner, what virtues do you believe a legislator should have and why?
Simply put, I'll give you a couple. Honesty, humility, hard work, and courage. Courage to stand up when everything around you is pushing on you and telling you that you have to do this and you have to do that. We have to have elected legislators who are going to stand up and put principles before a party initial behind their name. Simple as that. Republican, Democrat, whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, you got to have a principled and valued base. If you don't have that, you are going to be lost. So you have to have the courage to stand even in the face of adversity. I'm a conservative before I'm a Republican, and that's what I tell folks when we go door to door. And even though I'm on the Republican primary ballot, I will be representing, when I get to Harrisburg, Democrats, independents, libertarians. It's not just a small group of Republicans who are going to turn out and vote, but that's what we have. You need somebody who's going to represent you and represent everyone in the district to the best of their ability.
Thank you, Marc. And we start this next round with you with regard to public service. With respect to public service, what are your 5 and 10-year goals?
Well, my 5 and 10-year goals. Boy, I tell you what, I'll kind of refer back to my 3-minute open. I think you have to have a vision. First and foremost, school property tax elimination isn't going to take 5 or 10 years. It needs to happen this year without doubt. Next year at the very latest. That is my main goal, to eliminate the property taxes, give you your private property rights back so that you're not going to lose your home to the school district. Lower taxes, the right to work aspect, and HB 76. I don't really think that a lot of people grasp the entire concept of HB 76 and what it will do for Pennsylvania. Part of the 5-year short-term plan, when we eliminate school district property taxes, each one of you in this room are going to have thousands of dollars back in your pocket. You'll be able to spend it as you see fit. You're going to spend some. You're going to save some. You might even donate some to your church, the Salvation Army, or whatever group you want. But it's your money. That's first and foremost to what we have to do and get Pennsylvania to be more competitive back in the marketplace to be able to attract business. Unfortunately, that's all I can get to in 60 seconds.
Thank you. Elizabeth Roberts, with respect to public service, what are your 5 and 10-year goals?
In 10 years, I hope to be long gone and resuming grandma duties, full-time grandma duties. In 5 years, I hope we see some of these changes. I hope we see the elimination of property taxes. I hope we see the elimination of Common Core, PA Core standards. I would like to see the unions reeled in. So hopefully we'll be headed in some positive direction in 5 years. There are a lot of grassroots candidates out there. And if we get enough of them in, these changes can be made, and then they'll go away on their own and allow somebody else in there with some fresh ideas. But I definitely hope we're headed in the right direction of getting our state economically sound and restoring some opportunity to people by the end of 5 years, and then I really hope to leave.
Scott Wagner, with respect to public service, what are your 5 and 10-year goals?
I pledge to 2 4-year terms of 8 years, and I will be finished in 8 years. My goals, and they're lofty goals: paycheck protection, become a right-to-work state, eliminate school taxes. If you do those 3 principled things, we will see our economy change. We will see more prosperity in the state of Pennsylvania. We need, again, a goal. If these items are passed and they're enacted into law, we will see our state grow. And we have many opportunities. We have a great work ethic. We have a great location. We have many, many things that are great opportunities for this state. But we have 2 or 3 very, very large mountains to climb, and they're very important. 8 years, that's my pledge.
Ernie Merisotis, with respect to public service, what are your 5- and 10-year goals?
My first goal is House Bill 76 to get the property taxes eliminated. I think that will absolutely turn Pennsylvania around. There are some other things that need to be done with regards to unions and their power, their political power that they're wielding across the state. Pennsylvania can be a great place. We just need to get the power back in our hands. And it takes voting, particularly if you wait till the November election, guess what? It's too late. If you don't get out and vote in the primary and pick the people that you feel best represents your views, then it's too late. You have to be active and get out there, and that's why this is my 3rd time running, because you know what? I'm tired of it too. Thank you.
Kelly Henshaw, with respect to public service, what are your 5- and 10-year goals?
Obviously, the House Bill 76, if it doesn't pass this term and we're elected in, then we'll be meeting that head on, and I'll be working as hard as I can to get that passed. Let's look, though, at a success story. Let's look at Wisconsin. Pennsylvania could be a Wisconsin, because I think Wisconsin was in a mess of a shape there when Scott Walker took office. $3.6 billion deficit. They went to a right-to-work paycheck protection. They cut the corporate tax. They cut collective bargaining. It invigorated their economy, so much so that they had a $911 million surplus. Did they spend it on something? No. They want to give it back to the taxpayers to then stimulate the economy even more. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you. And we move to our final question in this particular segment, and again it regards education. We'll start with Kelly Henshaw. Do you agree that Pennsylvania's new academic standards, the PA Core, Common Core standards, are the solution to the problems with education in our state? Why or why not?
Gee, I think I was just told that we don't have Common Core in the state. Who said? Oh. Anyways, thought it was gone. It's terrible. It breeds mediocrity for one thing. No one can excel. Everybody has to be on the same level. Everybody gets a trophy mentality. Plus, a lot of people don't realize this. This tracks the kids. The government is tracking these children through college and into their adulthood. Where's our freedom going, folks? We need to get rid of this now. They took the money from the feds. We have Common Core. You took the money, you got to have it. Let's get rid of it.
Marc Woerner, do you agree that Pennsylvania's new academic standards, the PA Core or Common Core standards, are the solution to the problems with education in our state? Why or why not?
First, simply put, absolutely not. Don't be fooled, folks. Those of you in this room that know about Common Core, you're not going to hear that term. It's kind of like global warming. Now it's climate change or man-made. If you hear PA Core standards, it's the same thing. Make sure that you're aware of that. Absolutely, Common Core and the PA Core standards are not the solution. What I believe is the solution to our education problems, school choice, where we give parents control and a portion of their educational tax dollars follow the student. How about that? Interesting concept, isn't it? Rather than being geographically locked into a school district just because of where you live. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And for those of us who homeschool, or you foot the bill for a private school, Christian school, whatever it may be, how about if some of those dollars go towards paying your curriculum or your tuition? So Common Core is going to cost the Commonwealth about $650 million to implement. Where's all that money going to come from, folks? Everybody sitting in this room. So let's go with school choice. It's a simple concept with school vouchers.
Thank you. Elizabeth Roberts, do you agree that Pennsylvania's new academic standards, the PA Core/Common Core standards, are the solution to the problems with education in our state? Why or why not?
No. I think government is the proverbial wet blanket, the quintessential party pooper. What they do, a government solution always involves another layer of government, putting another layer of government on something. And that's exactly what this is. If the old standards didn't work and the kids weren't meeting the old standards, what makes them think that dictating, just regulating a new set of standards is the answer to our academic shortcomings? This is absurd. Why don't they just pass a regulation that all kids at 16 should be able to split an atom if that's the way it works? It doesn't work that way. Never mind the nefarious nature by which the standards made it from Bill Gates' scheming mind to our Department of Education. Never mind the cost. There was no fiscal analysis submitted. The Department of Education said zero fiscal impact, a lie. So we don't even know what the cost is going to be, but the standards themselves are bad. They're age inappropriate. They lack continuity. And I'm out of time.
And you're at stop.
They
Thank
stink.
you. Yes. One of the words "don't get me started" kind of come to mind there. Scott Wagner, do you agree that Pennsylvania's new academic standards, the PA Core and Common Core standards, are the solution to the problems with education in our state? Why or why not?
No, I do not agree with them. I also believe that we should have school choice. I think we have a larger problem. We're graduating a lot of students. They're coming out, being told, come get a good education, go to college. They're coming out of college with $100,000, $140,000 worth of student debt. They can't find jobs. We can't find mechanics at Penn Waste. We need to focus more on encouraging students that, driving a truck or being a mechanic or being a welder or being, someone who gets your hands dirty is not a bad thing, because those people don't make bad money. So I think we have a lot of issues in our system, but Common Core is not the answer.
And finally, Ernie Merisotis, do you agree that Pennsylvania's new academic standards, the PA Core/Common Core standards, are the solution to the problems with education in our state? Why or why not?
I think that whatever you call it, PA Core, Common Core, Keystone Core, it's an absolute disaster. It's going to do for education what Obamacare is going to do for health care. And quite frankly, I think we're, some bureaucrat, whether they're in Harrisburg or whether they're in Washington, D.C. or Silicon Valley, wherever, doesn't have your children's best in their mind. I think parents should decide, and I think that there should be educational school choice. And quite frankly, if we did that, you would see the education system turn around in 3 years flat. Because right now we have a government system, and basically it's this way. Well, if you don't like it, you can move. It shouldn't be that way. Parents should say, I'm going to put my kids over here. That's the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in our court system, they ask questions where you get to answer yes or no. This is, we'll call the court of public opinion round of questions, where our candidates simply get to say yes or no. And these are our final 7 questions for the evening. We'll start with this round with Marc Woerner. Marc, should there be any taxpayer funding for preschool?
Yes.
Elizabeth Roberts.
No.
Scott Wagner.
Yes.
Ernie Merisotis.
No.
Kelly Henshaw.
No.
See how easy that was? Our second question. And this one will start with Kelly Henshaw. Do you support tax dollars subsidizing businesses such as in the oil and gas industries?
No.
Absolutely not.
Marc Woerner.
No.
Elizabeth Roberts. Scott Wagner.
No.
And Ernie Merisotis.
No.
This may be the fastest group you've ever seen passing the mic. Next round. Ernie Merisotis, do you believe serving as a legislator should be a career?
No.
Kelly Henshaw.
No.
Marc Woerner.
No.
Elizabeth Roberts.
We should just do this as a collective. No.
No.
Scott. And do we get, I guess we got Ernie on that, right? Ernie could say no twice if you'd like to. Third one. It's going to be the fourth one here, actually. And we'll start this one with Kelly Henshaw. Do you support repealing our current tax system for a flat or fair tax?
Yes.
Marc Woerner.
Yes.
Elizabeth Roberts.
Yes.
Scott Wagner.
Yes.
Ernie Merisotis.
Yes.
Start the next one here with Elizabeth Roberts. Excuse me, with Scott Wagner, rather. You people ought to have to do this really fast. I thought doing 3 hours in the morning was hard. This is much harder. I was never good with numbers. Should Pennsylvania liquor stores be privatized? Scott?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Guys, you're not going to be quarterbacks if you don't get better with that handoff there. Kelly Henshaw.
Yes.
Marc Woerner.
Yes.
Elizabeth Roberts.
Yes.
Should beer and wine be available at grocery stores like other states? Elizabeth?
You bet.
Scott Wagner.
Yes.
Ernie Merisotis.
Yes.
Kelly Henshaw.
Yes.
Marc Woerner.
Yes.
And the final of these 7 court of public opinion questions. Are you in favor of removing the Common Core mandate from Pennsylvania's schools? You want to all say it together?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, a nice round for all of our candidates this evening here. Kristin Phillips, Ernie Merisotis, Kelly Henshaw, Kate Klink, Marc Woerner, Elizabeth Roberts, and Scott Wagner. Again, let's give them a nice round of applause, would you please? And I think now is the time that you are to come up with your straw poll results, and I will turn this back over to Ed, if Ed is around here somewhere. Ed's kind of like a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest right now. He's over here on the side. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. I passed out the ballots, the sample ballots. Anybody not get one? You didn't get one. If you wouldn't mind just passing them down to the ends, I'll come around and grab them. Okay, for the 93rd House District, we have Ernie Merisotis with 115, Kristin Phillips-Hill with 5. For the 94th House District, we have Stan Saylor 1, Kelly Henshaw 116. For the 169th House District, Kate Klink 11, Gene Montanarelli 2, Marc Woerner 109, Leroy Wentz 0. For the 196, we have 0 for Seth Grove, Elizabeth Roberts 114. 28th Senate District, Zachary A.R. Hearn 1, Scott Wagner 124. Governor Robert Guzzardi 54, Tom Corbett 47.